Assalamualaikum, my name is Farah AQILAH binti ZOLKIFLE, and today I would like to share about the introduction. The Covid-19 pandemic has turned into something that looks like a huge disaster in terms of people's health, the economy and effort to help those in need. Unfortunately, the Covid-19 pandemic, along with falling government spending and lower public and private investment, stopped the economy from growing in 2020. It even caused the economy to shrink. The requirement for raw material and food that are needed every day are both affected by COVID-19, which also has an effect on the manufacturing sector. The majority of Malaysians are affected by the rising cost of living caused by rising food and service prices. Food prices could affect low-income households' ability to maintain their standard of living because they spend most of their income on food. It is due to the fact that the nation is dependent on foreign food supplies that any changes in the price of import goods have an indirect effect on the price of the other goods. Spending by consumer is very important to an economy because it can show how healthy the economy is. If people don't spend their money in the market, it will slow down the flow of the cash.
Rising prices for goods, food and basic service are among the major issues afflicting the majority of Malaysians. When the country was hit by COVID-19 pandemic, this became a worse issue for the consumer in order to survive during the MCO. The impact have been discussed and felt by the public. Thus, Malaysians have seen several incidents of price increases for goods in the last few years, particularly for people's basic food needs and non-food such as chicken, fish, meat, household food and so on. Due to the issue, Malaysia had to face cost-pushing inflation, which put the country in a condition of the price of the goods, food and food become pricey, uncertain and couldn't be afforded by the poor. Moreover, food is a basic necessity, so the amount of food demand should be less impacted by the crisis than demand for other commodities and services. Besides that, some suppliers take advantage of this condition in which they start to keep the stock and then to sell the items at an upmarket price, and this situation often occurs during the festive season. However, after COVID-19 hit the country, supply is more likely to this opportunity due to high consumer demand, which is more commonly known as hoarding activity in economic terms, and this matter becomes worse ahead of the festive seasons in which they keep goods in store. When the supply of things is limited and demand is high, prices inevitably rise. One of the reasons why the issue of rising goods cost is hard to handle is the mentality of being overly reliant on middlemen. When middlemen boost the price of goods, traders must do the same in order to avoid losses. According to economics expert Professor Dr. Chung Ting-Fah of Help University, on top of supply chain issues, rapid rises in energy prices can cause inflation. So the government must control inflationary expectations, which if not handled might lead to ingrained inflation. Malaysia's cost-push inflation is now caused by supply chain issues in fulfilling the demand for raw materials, which can occur when total prices rise owing to increases in the cost of salaries and raw materials. The inflation crisis that happened in Malaysia needs to be worried because it does affect the whole country, even though this phenomenon is also faced by other countries. According to MOHAMAD of Nizam of Bank Islam, inflation will be a major concern in Malaysia in 2022 because the supply constraint will require more time to resolve, and the stickiness of prices show that overcoming supply-demand imbalance would not ensure a price drop. Last but not least, COVID-19 epidemic may potentially disrupt farmers' access to critical intermediate inputs. For the time being, there do not really seem to be any shortage in developed country producing regions. However, farmers in Malaysia may experience additional challenge. This issue can lead to the rising vegetable price when the farmers have difficulty to earn money, so they manage to mark up the price compared to usual price. The climate change has impacted the sector, which affects the vegetable quality and production become limited. The weather conditions have recently become unpredictable, making it difficult for farmers to grow quality vegetables and pushing the farmer to raise the price due to the limited production. Farmers were also challenged with the issue of increased agriculture input costs, such as fertilizers and farming tools such as geotextile and weather protection structures.
Now, moving on to the analysis of the issues. The COVID-19 epidemic is dangerous and has threatened the Malaysian economy as well as foreign countries. Many things have been affected due to the constraint on performing activities normally performed before the outbreak. This too has spurred debate over whether the scenario will result in deflationary or inflationary pressures. Based on the statement by the Department of Statistics in Malaysia, national inflation increased by 2.5% from January to December 2021 compared to a negative 1.2% in the same period in 2020. In this crisis, the impact of a pandemic caused many people to lose their jobs and struggle to purchase basic food until 2021. During the COVID-19 epidemic, many individuals reported not having enough food to eat and being unable to purchase extra food. Furthermore, many sellers raised the price of goods. With the increase in the price of chicken, this will lead to the problem of rising prices of other necessities as well. The price increase in the COVID-19 season was due to limited production, which forced sellers to raise the price because the cost from the producer was also expensive.
We continue with another analysis. We have analyzed from several of issue COVID-19 affect goods price. We analyze what happened from time to time. We can see from oil and gas sector. What happened is global oversupply and lower demand because of prices to drop by the COVID-19 epidemic. We can relate between mid-2014 and 2016. Prices were on a downward trend as the change to a stronger dollar played a crucial role, leading to a 70% collapse in commodity prices. At the same time, with a lower generating cost also make the renewable energy choices remain two competitors. Petronas, where is the world's fourth biggest exporter liquefied natural gas, which is stepped up the effort to cut Scope 1 and Scope 2. We back and turn to this analysis. What happened now? The vaccine can make the virus spread and all businesses activity want to focus to the vaccination first before they restore the situation that make them suffer before. In this sector, although the price were higher over 90% to $30 per barrel in May, but still below the average total cost for most producers. The increased prices will indirectly impact on the level of burden of the people. And then, issue of packaged cooking oil. Cooking oil is a basic need for our life. So that many people use a packaged cooking oil because it's most affordable for people to buy it and use it. So because the less of this package, many people must buy the bottle of cooking oil. Many people complain the overpriced bottle cooking oil. The bottle depending on the brand with price range from 12.70 to 19.30 for 2 kg. And what if 5 kg? That is cost 29.50 and 38.20. It is indirectly burdening the traders, and it is also a basic need for the business. And then, the increase in the price of wet flow during COVID-19 also affected the seller of food based on the material, which caused traders to sell roti canai, kuih-muih that make them to raise the price of goods or downside it. Before this crisis happened, all the price materials still in control. COVID-19 not just affected to the goods only, but to the consumer purchasing. Consumer spending is influential in global economic growth. Because of this, many people left to buy more things or goods. They cannot go anywhere because of the lockdown that they don't know how they can use their money. Typically, they will walk into the store or restaurant. Meanwhile, issue of the overprice of fries because of lack of fries at the time. This situation has led to the import-export that make them to control it, to make sure each country has an adequate supply of rice. Where has a supply shortage to retail, and it makes the price of rice is higher because of the less supply from production. Moreover, garment and footwear industry also affected during COVID-19. Datuk Sri Tan Tiang Pu, President of the Malaysian Fashion, Textile and Apparel Federation, said industry players could not afford to shut down for another day. 50% of our industry players have quit, and 30% are on the edge of collapse, and since the movement control order went into effect in 2020, we have lost 160 million ringgit Malaysia. The government enforcement of the MCO to prevent the disease from spreading further. Several local small and medium enterprise manufacturers have been forced to close or downsize their operation that make many people lost their job. Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Yusri Mahidin, Malaysia Chief Statistics Officer, indirectly documented Malaysia has negative inflation with a 1.2%. He also mentioned several of the basic needed considerable price drop, negative 0.8%. Two group of goods and services communication, there is 102.6%, and apparel and footwear, there is 107.0%. It implying that household could afford to enjoy these two groups with the same thing at a lower price than last year.
Assalamualaikum, my name is JANNAH and I will be present about suggestion and recommendation to control the situation. To reduce higher price in general, Malaysian government can take several steps to control the increase in the price of goods. The government can deploy macroeconomic stabilization mechanism through fiscal and financial intervention. The primary attention should be on the supply of essential items such as food and raw material that consist of chicken, eggs, flour, oil and rice. Firstly, to control the price of goods in terms of the supply of goods itself, we take chicken and fish as the example to be controlled. Based on the local market price, the price of this good has increased per kilogram recently. while factories and wholesalers have their own costs and the price is already high by the time the good reach the traders. Therefore, to control this situation, government will increase imported frozen chicken to reduce costs while reaching traders and allow consumers to buy chicken at a lower price. While Malaysian Ministry of Agriculture plans to temporarily stop fish export to ensure that local market prices are stable and affordable to meet the needs of Malaysians. The next step is controlling the price of goods in terms of the supply by implementing ceiling price for several essential foods items such as chicken, eggs and vegetables. Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs suggests the maximum fixed price of chicken and eggs will be fixed for a certain period according to economic performance. Besides, government has established the Malaysian Maximum Family Price Control Scheme plan since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country. This plan is affordable with three categories of needs such as chicken, egg and vegetable. The Maximum Price Control Scheme divides into several types, which is live chicken, standard chicken, super chicken, grade A, B and C eggs, long beans, red chili, tomatoes and import round cabbage. However, price adjustments are made based on the certain situation and factors to ensure price and supply stability. Furthermore, from a fiscal point of view, it can be controlled through appropriate short-term action plan by providing incentive and tax to the organization, whether a factory, company or small trader. For example, tax and tax exemption given on a one-off basis to company who incur relatively high costs in the production to reduce cash flow pressure on producer. Additionally, to increase the productivity of production, government needs to implement a subsidy mechanism based on productivity to push producers in producing their product in the local market. Subsidy should be given priority in the production of paddy and vegetable.
Let's continue with the explanation of suggestion or recommendation. Additionally, in terms of monetary policy, more flexible financial funding for industry movers is required. Referring to Malaysia's 2022 budget stated that financing schemes consisting of direct loans, financing guarantees and equity injections totaling 40 billion ringgit are available to entrepreneurs to streamline business cash flow and provide support to businesses, particularly in the small and medium enterprises (SME) sector. Meanwhile, in terms of the targeted approach that will be implemented by the government, it will only focus on industries that have been severely affected by the disruption of supply flows after the pandemic. Apart from that, national law also has the biggest role in this problem. The departments of the previously established authorities should play an important role in the issue of price increases that may be due to the monopoly of some producers. Through all the committees set up, enforcement agency will need to redouble the enforcement efforts to ensure that producers, suppliers and traders do not take advantage of rising prices at an unreasonable rate. Thus, the National Rehabilitation Council (NPN) voiced its opinion to set up a special cabinet committee to address the issue of rising prices of goods and services. Lastly, steps that need to be taken in order to enforce the law in the issue of rising prices of goods is that the government is advised to conduct a scaled investigation on any form of pact or cartel in the market to prevent any manipulation and price increases by irresponsible parties. Any part found to be controlling or manipulating the prices of these basic necessities can be prosecuted under Section 4 of the Competition Act 2010 Act 712.
Lastly, for the conclusion, the government should emphasize the price of government control goods so consumer are pressured to pay more. Authorities should also ensure that control goods sold to consumer are not concealed, as this allows retailers to raise prices during product shortage. The government has a responsibility to take measures to ensure that unethical practices that unfairly exploit and burden customer can be eliminated in a more comprehensive and efficient manner. The KPDN HEP and other agencies needs to continue to work together to strengthen their partnership in order to immediately implement proactive solution to the problem of steadily increasing prices of goods.